Hey everybody, this is Ronnie P, Pilot, Gardener, and Reefer. Just wanted to give you guys an update on my Orbit Yard Enforcer. Now I've had this for, I guess about a month and a half now, so I've got enough use out of it to be able to give a real good opinion of how this motion activated sprinkler works for protecting your garden. And you can see that I've actually got a pretty good sized little garden right here to protect. It's about 10 by 24, so a pretty good area. Now, just to give you a little bit of information about the sprinkler itself, it's got multiple settings. That's something that sets this unit apart from some of the others that are out there. Now, there's other sprinklers out there that are a little bit less expensive, but they don't offer some of the flexibility, and they're not built as well as this sprinkler. So I really think that this one is worth the extra money. I mean, literally, I think this sprinkler is like $50 on Amazon. So, I mean, you know, there are some others out there for like 30 bucks, but they don't have these other little features here. Like here we've got day, night, always, and off. I've got it set in the night mode right now because one thing I was noticing with this sprinkler when you have it, because I wanted to be able to get all the range I could get so that I could scare off anything that walks up to the garden before it has a chance to eat anything in the garden at night. But the problem is when you turn the sensitivity all the way up during the daytime, when it's more likely to be windy, well, the sprinkler is going to go off with anything moving in the background, like the trees back here. You know, these trees just waving in the wind in the daytime is enough to set the sprinkler off. And I was worried that on the windy, sunny days, that if I was spraying water, over the top of some of my vegetables during the day, that the water could possibly burn up some of the leaves. And I didn't want to run that risk. So I just went ahead and, because the main threat of deer in this area for us is at night, early in the morning or at night. So I have it set, on the night setting, and it doesn't have to get like super dark for the photo cell to sense that it needs to be on. I was out here the other day working in the garden, and the sun was kind of setting and all that, and I was working, kind of pruning back some of the tomatoes and all that, and so I'm working in the garden. It's still daylight, but it was, getting kind of dim, Next thing I know, the sprinkler goes off, trying to protect the garden from me, and I was actually working in the garden. So anyway, I feel like that's pretty good. I mean, so when it starts getting dim, the sprinkler will become armed, and and it'll protect all the way up till the sun probably comes over the trees in the morning. But for me, that was the best setting for me. Now, of course, I know people use these for a lot of other reasons, not just for gardens. You can use this like if you have cats or something that are, coming into your backyard, some sort of unwanted animal like raccoons. Not sure if it'll work on birds or not. It might. If you've got it, real close to an area that you want protected, and you've got it sitting on the ground, if you had problems with birds landing on something or whatever, you might be able to keep birds, and squirrels away. I might have to do a little research on that and see, if I can, figure out, because I do have some squirrels in my backyard, and I haven't noticed them in my garden, which I know that they will, but I haven't noticed them over here. They've been around the garden, but I haven't really seen them in the garden, so I don't know if the sprinkler has, scared them enough that they're kind of avoiding this area. But it's a good possibility that is exactly what's happened. Because the research on these is that once the animals get scared, they'll just avoid this area altogether. So you won't really have a problem with the same animal coming back and forth, just constantly trying to come into the garden. Once they're scared, once they see that something's a threat in this garden, they'll usually just avoid the area altogether. So Now, I do know that people do use these for cats and stuff like that, and you can go to YouTube and look around and you'll see videos where, you've got people that set up night vision cameras and, just a motion activated camera even during the day to keep cats and raccoons and stuff like that out of their yard. And it looks like to me it works really good. And I don't doubt it. But here in a second, I'm gonna go to the always setting and I'm gonna show you exactly how sensitive this thing is and let you actually see it work with me moving around the garden. So so we've looked at some of the settings here. You've got the day, night, always, and off. Now I run mine in the night setting. You've got a duration setting here. Now you want to adjust this to where the sprinkler head has at least enough time to spray the entire protected area. That's to me the best way to set this. So depending on how big an area that you're trying to protect and how far you've got it spraying, around, then you want that duration turned up just enough that it actually does spray the entire area with water. To me, that would be the best protection that you could get right there. And you don't want it to spray too long because you don't want whatever it is, that's coming into the area to get used to it. You want it to scare them, and almost not even give them a chance to even figure out what it was that that went off, So now the range setting, I've got it turned up to maximum range because I wanted it to detect anything that came into my garden immediately. I wanted it instant, okay, as far as I could get. That way I could prevent something from actually making it into my garden and figuring out what kind of good stuff's in here. So I wanted to protect it as far out as I could get it. So by doing that, if you go into the always setting, that's going to protect day and night. Now, if you've got the range turned all the way up, well, it's going to, any movement at all that it sees. So on a windy day, if there's trees or if there's something else right there in that area that's going to be picked up by motion at all, well, you're going to have it going off, for stuff that you may not want it to, like trees and whatnot. And anyway, I didn't want it burning up my leaves, by spraying water over my garden in the middle of a hot day. So anyway, so I just set it to night, and so far it seems to have worked. And I haven't noticed, I was seeing deer in my backyard, all the way up to the point where I put the sprinkler in. But to be honest with you, I haven't seen any deer at all in the mornings in the backyard. So I'm not sure if maybe, I would be willing to bet you that this thing has went off several times for deer in the backyard, but maybe they're just avoiding the area now because of the sprinkler, which is fine by me. I like to see the deer in the morning sometimes, but I also want my garden, to stay here. I don't want all the hard work, that I put into growing all this to be eaten up by a deer. So I'm willing to make that trade-off. But anyway, there's a couple other things with this sprinkler. So we've got these settings we just talked about. Now you can set this to actually water your garden or water the area that it's actually protecting. And there's a 30-minute water cycle. So you can actually make it do that. But to me, that's not really what this sprinkler is for. This is mainly, just to scare animals away. I wouldn't want this thing running, ever. Now I've got another sprinkler back here on the ground that I've got connected on a timer right here on this sprinkler on this post. Now I've got mine mounted on a post to raise it up a little bit so that if I had a deer or something walk up from behind and the plants were trying to shield that. So if I had it on the ground, I don't think it would do as good. Plus, taller plants up close, the sprinkler would just start hitting all the plants. So I just didn't want all that. So I raised mine up with a fence post. Now, if you're trying to protect your yard from cats and, squirrels and stuff like that, you're going to want to mount this thing on the ground, with the stake that it comes with. And that would be the best way to do that. Now, you can see these little water ports that are right here. You can take these caps off and you can daisy chain another sprinkler or two. And so basically, you could put a couple of other, hammer type sprinklers, and you could put them out, as far as you wanted. So if you wanted them to go out, say, I don't know, just put like a 15-foot hose or something and run another sprinkler out to the end of the garden and then run another one, say, over here. Well, when this motion sensor picks up any movement, well, it's going to open up this valve right here, and it's going to send water up to this sprinkler head, but it's also going to send it out to these two. And you're going to get water on all three sprinkler heads all at one time. And, those sprinklers could literally be whatever kind of sprinkler you want. I would recommend getting the hammer type, because these make a lot of noise, and they're kind of startling when they go off. So that's the type of sprinkler you'd want to use to scare things. But you can buy those cheap. Those could be just inexpensive, no electronics, just a regular hammer type sprinkler. And all you got to do is just connect it right onto the yard enforcer. So you could run 3 sprinklers off of this one motion sensor. All right, so this is what we're going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this to the always setting, and then I'm going to kind of go out and away, and I'm just going to show you how sensitive this thing is. All right, so I'm turning it now to the always setting. All right, so now the sprinkler, so this sprinkler is armed right now. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to walk out. All right, so I'm going to walk out and away, and we're just going to kind of see how sensitive this thing is when I walk up to the garden, and just kind of, now I'm going to let it detect me, and then I'm going to stop. All right, so you can see how far away we are. We're about 30 feet away. Maybe, yeah, it's about 35 feet. And I'm going to just kind of walk out this way, and I'm going to approach the garden, and we'll see when it actually detects me. All right, so there it goes. And here comes some water, but that's okay. Now, it's got a little bit of a delay in it, but you can see, like I'm probably 30 feet from the sprinkler right now. Maybe just under 30 feet. Now, if I were to have kept walking, it wouldn't just keep going off. It actually has a little bit of a delay in it so that whatever it is moving around the garden doesn't get used to it. So it wants to kind of come on a little more random. So I think it's got about a 1 minute, maybe 45-second delay before it'll go off again. So what I'm going to do now, so I am definitely in the range of the sensor right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try moving just a little bit toward the garden, and let's just see how much. I'm going to move really slow and see if it picks me up. I'm barely moving. All right, so there it goes. All right, so it seemed to be a little less sensitive out at that angle. Let's see if it takes less movement to move it now. Now, I have just made it to the garden, okay? So let's see. I'm going to give it just a few minutes to make sure that it resets before I move again. Sorry about the dog barking in the background, y'all. All right. So I think that's probably enough time. So maybe I got scared a little bit, and I'm looking over here like, what the crap was that? All right, now I'm going to move a little bit. Oh, a lot more sensitive. All right, we're getting a little bit wet, but that's okay. Yeah, so you can see, like, I am about 20 feet from the sprinkler right now. Maybe just under 20 feet, maybe 18 feet from the motion detector. Now, one thing I did notice about the motion detector is it doesn't work as well when you mount it high. I did have that thing mounted higher than I have it now, and it seemed to decrease some of the sensitivity up close for some reason. It must be something in the motion detector, the way they have it angled, because I guess when you think about it, they designed it to sit on the ground. So higher up into the motion sensor is probably where it's most sensitive. So I could imagine that if you had this thing mounted on the ground, it would be super sensitive, you know. All right, so I'm gonna try moving a little bit and just see. I'm gonna try to move really slow. Oh, there we go. All right. You can see it's doing a really good job. Now I'm just gonna try to move. That's only 10 seconds after it's sprayed. And you see how it's not doing anything? It has to reset. All right, so I'm just gonna stop here, allow it to have time to reset itself, and then I'll move again. All right, so that's probably getting really close, but you can see how suddenly the sprinkler comes on and the noise and the, you know that's got to scare the crap out of anything that walks around this thing at night. All right, so I'm gonna move a little bit. Yeah, well, see, so over here it's not picking me up quite as good. And I don't know if that has to do with the plants. Yeah, so you could kind of see my concern with having this thing in a garden where you've got tall plants. All right, so I'm gonna move over here to the end because I have no doubt that it detects me on that side. But we're gonna move out here to the side and see how it picks me up over here. But yeah, you can see, I mean, most of my body is blocked right here by the top of these plants. So we'll see how it does when we come out from an angle on the other side. Yeah, and it must be somewhere around 45 seconds to a minute to reset. Now, I think this thing does have a smart detection setting that's supposed to make it even more proactive against, going off for the same situation over, Now, I was pretty sure that I disabled that because it was taking quite a while before it would reset and try to protect for movement again. But I just wanted it to go off. I wanted it to go off as much as possible, as far as, I didn't want it to spray for a long time, but I did want it to actually go off, with less than a minute of reset. But I didn't really see any instruction from Orbit in the instructions talking about what type of delay it had. So that was something I didn't see in the material from Orbit. All right, so let's see if it picks me up on this side. A little less sensitive right here. Okay. All right. So a little less sensitive on that other side. Now, it has been more sensitive than that. Now, I don't know if that's due to, the lighting on that side with the sun coming up over the trees right now, or if it has a little to do with my plants blocking me. But it seems to do a fairly good job, of picking up motion. Now, it definitely does a good job if there's nothing blocking it. So I may need to make a slight adjustment, to where I have this thing set up right now. But like I said, whatever's been around here has been scared, and I haven't seen any animals around this area. I even had a dog running through the yard that set this thing off, and haven't seen anything coming through here. So maybe that means that it's worked enough to keep everything kind of, you know, on the lookout or they're scared of this thing. So, but anyway, I definitely recommend it. I think it's the best one on the market. I do think that if this thing was mounted a little bit lower, or, you know, maybe I need to buy another one of these things. So if I had 2 of these, you know, it would definitely be enough. You know, and there are situations where if you did have, you know, a larger area, you're going to need multiple motion sensors. So maybe that's something I might need to look into. Maybe I need to pick up another one of these guys and kind of mount it on that other side. And that would definitely have this place protected. So, but anyway, highly recommend it, guys. Pick one up from Amazon. If you know, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there that show some of these things working with night vision cameras. And you can actually see the pests that this thing is scaring away, and you can actually see it spraying them. So anyway, but yeah, I've got personal experience. This thing works really good. I haven't had any problems with anything eating any of my veggies. I have no fence around this, no hot wires, none of that stuff. I have little kids, and you know, we can't have that kind of stuff, you know, around this garden. So we had to come up with another way. And I definitely think that going with the Yard Enforcer is the way to go, y'all. It's an inexpensive way. Once you kind of get that in, it's a lot less work to put one of these in. And it's going to be safe for the kids. And heck, it'll even scare the kids enough that the kids might not want to come in the garden and, you know, and pull your tomatoes that aren't quite ready to pick. But anyway. All right, guys. Well, this is definitely a positive for me. I highly recommend it. Go pick one up at Amazon. They're about 50 bucks. And I'll maybe do another review on this maybe in another couple of months, just to, you know, make sure nothing's changed. And if you have any questions or comments, y'all leave them in the comment section on the video. If it's your first time to see any of my videos, if you would subscribe. I do weekly updates. And I have some other things I do videos on, but if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button. Also, remember to click the little bell next to the subscribe button. Then when I place another video on YouTube, you guys will be notified of that. And anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you later. Bye.